Welcome, true crime lovers. This is Underage and Full of Rage. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Underage and Full of Rage, the podcast where the convicted are minors and their crimes are anything but. I am your host, Becky, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Adam.
Hello.
And apologies for our mini hiatus there, but life. So, anyway, moving on. So today we are in Cocekysville, Maryland. I definitely botched that name. Don't come at me. It is. Well, when I first was doing it, I kept thinking of Cockney from Hebrew Hammer. Yeah. And so that, I don't know if that's how you say it. It may be Cocekysville, but I kept saying cocky because I was thinking of Cockney.
Got you.
So, anywho, again, I probably botched it. I know I did. It's a suburb in North Baltimore. Currently, there are 23,863 people living in this area, and its population has been continuing to grow annually at a rate of 0.87%. And since 2020 alone, its population has increased by 5.58%. So, I'm assuming that's pretty decent, right?
What was that?
Oh, gosh.
Sorry.
Hi, where are you?
I'm right here.
I'm Earth.
You just say that one again.
So, annually, it's been growing at a rate of 0.87%, so just under 1% yearly. But since 2020 alone, so in 5 years, it has increased by 5.58%.
Oh, wow. So above what it had been.
So that's pretty decent, right?
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Right?
Maybe.
So now, back to it. So in 2008, this is when our story takes place. The Browning family are one of the many families living in this affluent suburb community. And this is probably going to sound terrible, but I didn't really know there was nice areas of Baltimore. I thought all of it was pretty bad.
Well, the waterfront's really nice.
Is it?
Like the harbor area?
Isn't that where we went? Wasn't that pretty, like, I thought...
No, that's like all like touristy and like... I thought that was like a cleaned up area.
Oh. Because I thought, right...
Because that's a huge industry, too, because it's like fishing and shit out of there, I thought.
But I thought driving into there, it was, like, not ideal.
I don't remember the drive-in. I don't know.
I mean, that was a while ago, too. And this is 2008. But, yeah, it's still, like, obviously a very affluent
There's definitely
town.
Absolute shitholes of that city, that's for sure.
That's what I'm saying. I just thought...
Well, it's like every place. Every place has there's always one little pocket of something, you know?
That's true. That's a very fair point. Okay. Sorry.
In St. Louis, right? Like, we drove through there, watched the news in the morning. It was like 9,000 shootings. And then you're like, wait a minute, there's an assload of fucking professional athletes.
Yeah, I was going to say, the Blues have to live somewhere around here, right?
They got pockets of shit, you know?
Yeah, that's true. So, Tamara and John Browning, 44 and 45, are raising their three boys, Nick, Gregory, and Benjamin. They are 15, 14, and 11 at this time. And they are living in this beautiful community. And from the outside, the Browning family appear to have it all. Tamara and John were well respected in the town, and the boys were well liked by their peers. John was a real estate lawyer, a scoutmaster, and a church leader. The family was heavily involved in the Boy Scouts. Almost every source I read mentioned how their oldest son, Nick, was on his way to become an Eagle Scout, which apparently is the highest attainable rank we have here in the States for Boy Scouts. And it's also a rank that not many receive.
Yeah, it's like a big deal. That's like serious dedication.
Well, I feel like because I was thinking about this, because I've only known one kid who was an Eagle Scout. And he was, like, in his 20s, so I'm like, he was definitely like a geek, but he was, like, the sweetest kid ever. So I personally think that...
He's a Boy Scout.
Well, yeah, you're right. So, but I personally think it's probably due more to just, like, kids growing out of it, right? You would think that you wouldn't continue on to Eagle Scouts?
I would think so.
Because I feel like it's the same thing with the Girl Scouts. Like, the higher-ups, like, after brownies and stuff, you pretty much grow out of it, right?
I feel like for a lot of people, they probably just move on to being the degenerate or something in those teen years.
Well, someone's projecting.
Let's be honest, right? Like, come on.
Listen, not everybody's a degen like you, okay?
You drop out of being a Boy Scout, what are you really doing?
Maybe you're focusing on other things, like band.
Okay, you can give him you give him the benefit of the doubt.
So the family often opened their home for, scout parents to hold meetings, and they would regularly put together events and trips for the scout troop, including camping trips, rock climbing adventures, as well as host whitewater rafting excursions. I feel like they were, like, quote unquote, those parents, the ones that were, heavily involved in their kids' lives and activities, the ones that are always at the bake sales, the PTA, or whatever it's called now, and the fundraisers, the dances,
Yeah.
like just always there.
Yeah.
Very, very active.
Involved.
Yeah. So Nick, Gregory, and Benjamin were described as being well-liked and popular kids, with the two younger ones being the fun, like, goofballs of the family. The oldest son, Nick, was a little more serious, sources said, and he was described as a tall, gangly 15-year-old who was an honor student and also played the cello. He played golf and lacrosse, which I feel like the statement alone just sounds Ivy League.
Gangly and lacrosse. That's confusing as hell.
But, like, that whole statement of honor student playing cello, golf and lacrosse, like, you're Ivy League bound, right?
Yeah.
I feel like if you're playing the cello, you're going Ivy League. There's only one direction for
Are there
you.
any rowers in the family?
Oh, I don't know. That's another one. That's a big one.
But I feel like that right there, that's like, wow.
Yeah, that sounds bougie. So, according to his family, he was, a kind, good-hearted kid who was the all-American boy. However, if you ask the kids he went to school with, especially those who rode the bus with him every day, their depiction of him was a little different. And by a little, I mean the polar opposite. According to them, Nick was a bully who would even pick on his own brothers, often punching Gregory whenever he wouldn't listen. To me, I feel like that's normal brother stuff, though, right?
I mean, I guess it depends on the context. You know what I mean? Is
That's
it like
true.
a fucking cold cock, I'm gonna blast you, or is it like a hey dickhead, listen?
Because there's definitely, like,
there's
the brother taps, and then there's also, like, you just torture your siblings.
Yeah.
So,
There's
yeah,
being a brother and then just being a fucking asshole.
that is true. So maybe he was just actually a fucking asshole. They also said he was a spoiled and arrogant, rude kid, and one of his friends stated, and this is his friend now, stated that he got away with everything and that Nick acted as if he ran the world. It was also said that he would steal his parents' alcohol and their car, even though he didn't even have a license, not even a permit. That to me is dumb teenage shit. Like, who doesn't steal their parents' alcohol?
Yeah.
So that I didn't really think too much of, but I feel like
not out of the ordinary for a teenager.
No, but when you do put it into, like, context with the statement prior that the friend said, like, he acted like he could rule the world, maybe there's, like, a little bit more to that. Like, he felt entitled.
Like,
Not so much.
Mine, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, not so much sneaking alcohol and sneaking the car, more of like, I'm entitled to the alcohol and entitled to the car. Yeah, so. And according to kids, he would complain about his dad a lot, and often said he didn't like his dad because he was always yelling at him. He also constantly referred to his mom as a dirty, dumb blonde, which I've heard dumb blonde before, but I've never heard dirty.
Dumb blonde.
Yeah, I thought that was an
You
interesting
dumb, dirty
insult.
Blonde.
Right?
Maybe he was dyslexic. Maybe he meant you dumb, dirty blonde.
Oh, like the hair color. I was like, dyslexic. What does that have to do with anything? So, a lot of kids who weren't friends with him said they thought he was mean and overall kind of a weirdo. One lady said he had bullied her son for years and that those who weren't in his circle didn't think too highly of him at all. So, obviously, two completely different sides of the spectrum there. So, I guess you make of that what you will.
Yeah.
I'm sure, like, I don't know. I feel like when you're teens and stuff like that, though, that's the game of high school. You have your core group that you're cool with, and then other people might not like you because you're a dick to them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't there, so I can't really say that he was like a demon person, but it seems like a lot of people didn't really care for him. They thought he was a douche.
Not everybody's cup of tea.
Which, that's fair. So on February 1st, 2008, the Browning family decided to go to Western Maryland for the day. I'm not really sure what is there, but it has to be enough to make a full day of it. However, when John asks Nick about going, he chooses to stay back and states he would prefer to hang out with his friends. And so he just opts out of spending the day with his family, which I feel like makes sense. You're 15. No,
Yeah.
15-year-olds don't want to hang out with their family usually.
Yeah, they kind of usually want to go do their thing.
So, the family goes and Nick heads to his friends. At his friend's house, they're, just chilling, playing video games, and doing whatever it is 15-year-old boys do. I don't know. I was never one, so...
It's kind of tough to say.
Yeah, exactly. So they're just chilling. Then, according to one of Nick's friends, at one point in the midst of this hanging sesh, Nick just abruptly gets up and leaves. He doesn't say anything or tell anybody where he's going or even what he's doing. He just literally is like, gone. So, an Irish exit, one might say.
That's offensive.
So, hey, I'm Irish, so I can say it. So, he doesn't even let them know, whether or not he'll be even back. Like, he literally just gets up and leaves. So
It's a true Irish exit.
Yeah, literally. So the friends go about their night until about 5 hours later when randomly Nick just shows back up. After he returns, he starts inviting kids to his house for a party the following night, so that Saturday. And no one really thinks anything of it, and some of them are even planning on attending this impromptu party at the Browning home. So Nick, he ends up not going home Friday night. He ends up staying at his friend's house. So when Saturday evening arrives, he decides, okay, it's time to go home. They ended up doing like this whole thing. I think like him and his friends ended up going to like the mall and stuff. They like had a day on Saturday. And then like around 5.
It was a lovely day.
Exactly. We have a quite lovely Saturday. I don't know if we'll have enough time. So around 5 p.m. on Saturday, his friend's dad takes him home. And, I guess they were planning on just dropping him off at this point because when he gets there, he ends up walking into his house and then quickly comes back out and says he just found his dad dead. At which point the friend's dad walks in to see, John's body, obviously lifeless, and he ends up calling 911. So the cops are told that, there is a person suffering from cardiac arrest. So when they arrived, they're under the impression that someone at the residence just had a heart attack, which I would think is probably a pretty standard call.
I would think so.
Like, you probably
Chest pains, heart attack. I feel like that's a pretty normal 911 rescue.
Yeah, like emergency.
Yeah.
So, after seeing the condition, however, that John was left in, the cops quickly realized that this was no heart attack. As the cops made their way into the home, they first noticed John, who's 45, on the couch, deceased from a gunshot wound. And as they continue to make their way through the house, they then discover Tamara, 44, Gregory, 14, and Benjamin, 11, each in their bedrooms, all dead from what appears to be gunshot wounds as well. It was determined that each of the family members were shot to death while they slept, and Nick, because he wasn't home that night, was the only survivor. While the cops were investigating the scene, they take Nick to the station to talk to him and, do the usual questioning. And the first thing the investigators notice is the lack of emotion Nick has, which obviously there is no, normal way to act. However, watching it, like, obviously, because, like, a lot of the times when you're in shock, you don't really have emotion. But it's not shock. When you watch it, there's such a casualness to him that it's definitely a little questionable. Like, he's very casual. It's weird.
Something too off about it.
Yeah, he's just casual. That's the only way to explain it. Like, if you watch the interrogation, he's so casual. It's weird. So, like, this is also a good way to explain it because before they even begin the interview, the investigator offers, something, would you like something to eat? So he suggests Burger King, and Nick just casually places his order. And then when he gets it, he proceeds to eat it as if it's any other day. Like, I think he even takes, like, the tomato off and, like, just eats it normally. It's just so casual. It's weird.
It's kind of disturbing.
Yeah, it's really, really weird. So, from an investigator's point of view, like, how do you not side-eye this? And then another thing that raised their suspicion is the fact that Nick, through all of this, never once asked about his family. He never inquired about what happened.
That's fucking crazy.
Like,
that's insane.
And technically, all you know at that, like, you just saw your dad. You don't
know about anybody else.
You don't
know what anybody else is, and you don't ask about it. That's crazy.
Yeah. So, a little suspicious. I mean, even if you're in shock, you're curious, right?
Yeah.
I would think curiosity.
At some point, you'd be like, "What about the rest of them?" or something.
Like, it would come to you at some point. Like, holy shit, there's like a whole half of a family in that house that I didn't even think about. I'm just thinking about my dad.
Yeah.
So, at first, Nick claimed to investigators he had returned home that evening and everyone was dead. Which, you only saw your dad. How did you know that? But anyway, that's a whole other thing. He presented the theory that it must have been a burglary gone wrong. But when the cops searched the house, there wasn't any signs there that, there had even been a robbery. In fact, what the scene looked like was that someone attempted to make it appear that a robbery, happened, which usually never works. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because nobody ever takes anything. They just trash the place.
Yeah, there's so many cases.
This is what it looks like in a movie.
So many cases that happened. So, obviously, they could tell the robbery looked like a cover-up and a staged scene. Instead, though, what the scene, did basically show, it essentially painted the picture that the person responsible for this knew the family well and that the police most likely already had their killer in custody. During the search, the cops found a 9mm gun that had been cleaned and just left out, which this was odd because John was known for practicing gun safety and he would have never just left one laying around like that. So after this, they end up discovering the key to the gun safe under Nick's bed. That's when the cops started to get, a better understanding of what may have actually happened.
What a fucking idiot.
Yeah. So during the interview, the investigator is, kind of struggling to make sense of Nick's story. And because of the many inconsistencies, the investigator decides to push on him a little harder. And Nick eventually does confess. He admits to telling his brother Gregory earlier in the day to leave the basement door unlocked and goes on to explain how he left his friend's house and walked all the way home that night. He entered through the unlocked basement door, made sure to put on gloves before taking his dad's gun and going upstairs to the first floor, where he found his dad John sleeping on the couch. Nick raises the gun and proceeds to shoot John in the head as he slept. And now his original plan was to wait downstairs and kill the rest of his family as they came downstairs to investigate the noise. So that, to me, tells you, like, movie style. Like, one by one. He was thinking he could just pick them off. But when this didn't happen, so nobody even heard the gunshot wound. Nobody woke up.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So when, this didn't happen, he proceeded to go upstairs and... gun in hand, at first he went to his parents' bedroom where he found his mom asleep in bed. He stood over her for a second before pulling the trigger and shooting her once in the head. Then he moved on to Gregory's room and shot him in the head as well. This is a hard part because at this point, Nick can hear his youngest brother, Benjamin, starting to wake up. So he goes into his room. And as he raises the gun, Benjamin lifts his head and Nick fires the gun twice, putting 2 rounds into the 11-year-old's head. Benjamin's autopsy also showed a defensive wound as there was a graze mark from one of the bullets on Benjamin's index finger, telling the examiner that, and the investigators that Benjamin must have put his hand up in a blocking motion when the gun went off. I have
horrible.
Goosebumps right now. How awful is that? That's just so cold-blooded. That's your baby brother, and he clearly sees you. There had to have been eye contact. How terrible is that?
It's fucking garbage people.
So by the end of the interview, Nick had confessed to going, room to room and shooting each of his family members one by one while they slept. And then when he was done, he left the house with the gun and threw it in some bushes near the Browning home. From here, he continued on and walked back to that same friend's house where he spent the night. The next day, Him and some friends, like I said, they went to the mall. Nick made sure to call a bunch of times, leaving several messages telling them when he would be home and that he loved them. By Saturday evening, after his friend's dad drove him home, he walked in his house and pretended to stumble upon the scene. In his confession, Nick said his dad was harder on him than his brothers and felt he was always riding him. Investigators didn't really accept this as a motive because to them, if it was because of his father being a dick, why did he kill his younger brothers when, they did nothing to him and had nothing to do with the anger he had pretty much towards his dad? So they inquire about his reasoning for killing his brothers, and his response, again, terrible, was that he decided to murder his brothers because he thought that if there was no one left, then it would help make his story more believable because there would be no one to dispute his account of what occurred. Fucking savage.
Wow.
That is so awful.
Yeah, you're a fucking garbage person.
That's, I feel like that's got to be the definition of, cold blood, right? That's cold-blooded murder, right?
Yeah, I would think so. I don't know.
Because you're just, in my way at that point.
Garbage person, that's about it.
Right? You're in my way at that point. So I have to get rid of you.
It's not even you're in my, well, I guess, yeah.
Because he couldn't risk a story, anybody going against his story. So you're an inconvenience then, aren't you? You're not even seeing that person as a person, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a liability.
Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. It's such a better fitting word. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's very early and we're very tired. So, but yes, more of a liability. That's so, that's just savage.
Yeah, it's fucking, yeah.
So, considering this, investigators became convinced that there had to be a different reason for the murders, and, they ended up creating a narrative that there was no clear motive, but speculated that the main reason for him committing parricide was because Nick knew how wealthy his dad was and wanted the money for himself. So he had to kill his brothers so he could inherit it all. Sidebar here. I think this is kind of bullshit. Just because you don't like the motive, you deny it and make up your own. It's one thing not to believe the motive and suspect another one, but they
pull shit out of your ass and say this is fact when you have.
They blatantly were no.
And no fact.
They're that's not. He didn't really give a motive, but he did.
But he did. You just don't accept it as his.
So they just made a whole new one up.
Yeah, you can't. That's you're an asshole.
Right? Isn't that?
I feel like that's some place where you gotta
I feel
to me that's dishonest because you're just saying whatever you want to fit a certain narrative that you've already concluded.
Yeah, and I feel like it plays into your courtroom show.
Yeah, the motive has to fit the conclusion that you've come to, or else everything is bullshit, which I think that's dishonest.
The best part of it all, in my mind, is the original motive, and then the reasoning why he looped his brothers into it anyway is so horrible in itself that it's...
What other motive do you need?
You didn't need to change it. You didn't need to make it money-driven.
Yeah, it's clear as day. I don't believe... Is he inheriting fucking billions of dollars? No, it's probably a fucking house and a shitload of debt.
That was the other thing that was annoying, because they definitely had money and stuff, but it's funny too, because they say the whole thing with the money, but if you watch the kid's interrogation, he's sitting there saying, I don't need their money. I know I have an inheritance coming to me. He's aware that he has money coming to him. He's I don't need to kill him to get money. I have money coming to me. So
clearly money's not a motive.
Yeah, so it's that's the other part of it. I just found it weird because I was the story he gives, the motive he gives to me is more fucked up than the motive they're trying to spin. I think it's more fucked up to be well, I didn't want my brothers to sit there and not be able to corroborate my story, so I just fucking killed them. Instead of being well, I had to kill them all because I wanted the inheritance for myself. I'm a greedy 15-year-old.
Yeah, the greed thing sounds like a load of bullshit.
Right? Okay. I just, when I was...
You know what that sounds like? That sounds like horribly fucking written TV drama.
Yeah, that's what I was saying,
exactly
the courtroom show of it all.
Like.
They wanted...
This is all about the money and the finances.
They wanted to make it more of like a performance in the courtroom that he's this greedy little 15
piece of fucking shit who committed murder.
Yeah, and savagely killed his brothers for no reason.
Here's a fact: you put a bullet in the guy's head. What motive do you need? It doesn't fucking matter. Point blank fucking murder is point blank fucking murder, regardless of the extenuating circumstance, unless it's a fucking self-defense. Yeah.
True. Well, it's funny you should say self-defense, because you'll see. But I was going to say, but everybody wants to know the motive. I think my issue was with it is you had a motive and you didn't care for it, so then you tried to rewrite the motive. That was my whole thing. I was like, you can't just rewrite it for your benefit. That was my point.
I got you.
But I liked the tangent. It's good to hear you talking. I feel like you don't talk enough. Mm-hmm. So, after hearing Nick's version of events, the investigators felt that the fact that Nick had worn gloves during the attack proved in their eyes that the murders were premeditated. And in combination with his confession and the evidence speaking for itself, Nick was arrested at 1:05 a.m. that Sunday, and he was charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder. However, Nick was still only 15. In fact, he was actually just 1 week shy of his 16th birthday, which automatically made him ineligible for the death penalty. So this means at most he was facing life in prison. And the prosecution made it clear that this was the goal, because when Nick's defense team was trying to get a reduced sentence so it would make him eligible for spending his time in a treatment program for youths, the prosecutor argued that based off of the fact that Nick essentially executed his family like a professional hitman, he should never be allowed out of prison. And the court must have agreed, because they charged Nick as an adult and moved forward with the 4 counts of first-degree murder. So during his trial, his family shockingly stood behind him. Nick had his grandparents, his aunts, and uncles back up his allegations of abuse, and Tamara's dad even said that he was positive Nick had been abused both physically and mentally for most of his life. That's why I was saying, interesting that you go self-defense. Because technically...
yeah, I meant like somebody's right on top of
no,
you fucking blow the
I know, but we're... like, times are changing with domestic shit, so, like, this is also a form of, like, self-defense, because you have to strike when your attacker is not attacking, essentially. Like, you have to be in the upper hand situation, and that's usually when you're not being attacked, which is why so many women go to jail for murdering their abusers, which is kind of bullshit in my mind. So, that's what I was saying. Like, it's interesting that you had mentioned the self-defense thing. So there were also statements that John was the abuser, but that Tamara was complicit in the abuse, as, you know, she basically did nothing to stop it and more or less supported John in doing it. But honestly, though, at this point, it is all hearsay, because they're not here to defend themselves, nor has any tangible evidence of abuse been uncovered. So who even knows what happened behind closed doors? And I don't think anyone will ever truly know the truth, but I have to say, when a person has family members corroborating allegations, including grandparents, it's hard not to believe that abuse may have been going on. And, I mean, they wouldn't be the first, predominant family or whatever it is, like, with horrendous secrets.
The fact that that many people came forward and were like, yeah, it's legit, I feel like is pretty telling.
Yeah, but again, like I said, there's no tangible evidence of it. They're not here to defend themselves, so...
That's true.
Who knows? You just, So, I think it was also hard for the courts to believe Nick was a victim of abuse, making it hard to feel bad for him. Because in court, he would behave one way, but then while in jail, he had more of an unfazed attitude about the whole thing, which obviously didn't reflect scared and abused as much as it did cold-blooded killer. For instance, it was revealed in court right before his sentencing that he was on a phone call with a friend, and it was painted as like him joking about escaping from jail. But then when you read, what he said and look at the context, I feel like it may have been given a little too much emphasis. Like, I feel like it had that exaggerated journalist twist kind of like, oh, he's just making fun of the whole situation. Because what happened on the phone was he asked the friend if she heard about some guy who recently tried to escape, and you know, like that would be him, and that his friend should try and break him out. And honestly, I feel like this is just a 15-year-old trying to put on a front to his friend that he's not bothered or scared in the least about potentially spending the rest of his life in prison.
Definitely.
Yeah. Because inside, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he was fucking terrified, you know, at the time of this call.
Yeah, when reality starts stepping in, you know?
Yeah, so, and again, I might be giving him, you know, too much benefit of a doubt here, but during these times, I feel like everything is under such a fine, you know, microscope, and it's picked apart, and I don't know if it really needed to be as amplified as it was, is basically my point, because I generally dislike when people and the media do this shit, when they, like, over-exaggerate one little thing, or they take...
blow shit out of proportion like they always do.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Like, as if they themselves are not humans. Like, I feel like we just don't give human beings grace like we should. Even though, yes, he murdered his whole family. I get that. There's no denying that. That doesn't take away from it. But don't, like, I don't know. I just feel like it plays into the fact because we don't, like, you want to see remorse, but then you go above and beyond to attack any remorse that they do show. Does that make sense? And that's in general. I'm not, like, sticking up for this kid. I'm just saying. It's more of an attack on the media, if anything. It's not really an attack on this kid.
Like you want to see actual, genuine remorse, and 99% of the time, I shouldn't say that, a decent amount of the time it's horseshit remorse, and it's only remorse because you're caught, you know?
Right, and I get that point. But I also feel like sometimes they play up little things to make it seem...
Oh, yeah, because you got to convict them in the fucking public eye.
Exactly. So like, that's what I was saying.
Because that's apparently the job of the media.
Because that's what I was saying. Like, it's more of an attack on the media than anything, I feel like. So, again, obviously in court, he showed a very different side. And rather than, you know, casually talking and making jokes, he was sobbing and expressing that he was sorry for what he had done. Now, again... whether it's true or not, who really knows? But at the end of the day, the only thing that does matter is the fact that he did plead guilty, and he was sentenced to 4 life sentences, with 2 of those to be served consecutively. I also read that the sentence did anger some people because it meant that Nick is eligible for parole after 23 years, which I didn't understand how, because I understand that the state parole guidelines is parole after 23 years served on a life sentence, but technically he has 2 other life sentences to serve. So where and how the parole comes in, I'm not too sure.
Are they concurrent or consecutive sentences?
So 2 are consecutive. He got convicted of 4, but 2 are to serve consecutively. So he still has 2 other life sentences. Concurrent.
So the concurrent should be the 2 life sentences running together, so the 23 years is 23 years for the both of those. The consecutives, he's going to be looking at parole probably in 46 years if he's running consecutive sentences on the 2. Because if you're running consecutive sentences, you're doing your 23 years, then once that sentence is done, your next sentence is supposed to kick in, which should be, in theory, a minimum of another 23 years.
That's what I'm saying. So that's why I don't understand the 23 years kicks in, because he still has other life sentences.
That might be when the second 23-year sentence then kicks in, or the second minimum of 23-year sentence kicks in.
But they were saying, like, that he could be paroled in 23 years. Like, that means let out.
Then he can't, then there's no way he could be running consecutive sentences.
And that's why I said I was confused.
That doesn't make any sense.
But on his thing, because I'll get into it more, because he's very active today. On his thing, his little profile thingy that I found, there's no, like, date. Like, he says, like, it says that he's in there for life. No date release or expected release date. Like, it's not a thing. So... And, I mean, when this happened, 2008. So, we're coming up to just, 20 years soon in 3 years?
Yeah.
Well, that's crazy. So, technically, if anything, if that was a thing in 6 years, he would come up for a parole hearing. But again, like, that's what I didn't understand. If you were serving one life sentence, yes, but you have so many going on that I would think the 23 would be negated because you have to start another one.
Yeah, that to me that doesn't make.
What are you going to get out to go back in to start your next one? That doesn't make any sense. That's not how that works.
Yeah, it would just be. Yeah.
Okay, so it makes sense that I'm confused?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So today, it looks like he is still serving his time in Jessup, Maryland, and currently is looking for pen pals. This is what I was talking about. I found his profile on the Prison Pals site, which obviously is a website for people to, find and communicate with prisoners. The website allows the prisoners to upload photos of themselves as well as provide a bio and write a blog, which I found the blog part to be very, very weird. Also, I have to say, for someone who has been in prison since 2008, he looks exactly the same. He just has shorter hair.
That's surprising.
It is surprising, because usually that shit ages the fuck out of you. But no, this kid...
You get real beefy.
Yeah, no, he looks exactly the same. He's, still tall, blonde, and he's not, gangly, but he's just not... He's not like a beefcake, but he's also not weathered. He looks exactly the same. So on Nick's bio page, he states that he is looking for good conversation and that prison has been his life since 2008. So he is trying to avoid becoming institutionalized beyond repair. He has earned a bachelor's and an MBA, and he spends most of his time reading. He says he takes pleasure in the little things now, like listening to music. He ended the excerpt with acknowledging how incredibly fortunate he is to have friends and family who have taught him so much and have shown him so much love, and how they have helped him grow beyond the scared, angry, and broken child he once was. So I understand that they need, people to converse with, and maintaining healthy relationships both in and out of prison is good, obviously, for one's mental health. But when you see this page, it, with the pictures and everything, it seriously gives dating site vibes, and or it's dating site adjacent, and I don't know, it's so cringy, and I don't know. It just made me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. That seems like it's a little weird.
I was looking at it and I'm like, he's got a couple of photos of himself uploaded, and then he's got and then the whole blog parts, it was very, 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 a dating profile is the best way to explain it. It's just weird.
That's what prisoners have these days. And, I know it's not fucking a cakewalk, and I know all that blah, 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 whatever, but it's Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ.
That's my point, because it's I know they gotta, maintaining relationships and healthy relationships are very good for their
men. This guy's got a fucking bachelor's and an MBA, and you got people fucking walking around complaining that they can't go to college because they can't fucking afford it.
Yeah.
This guy's gonna die in fucking prison. He's got an MBA that was paid for, but I'm sorry.
By taxpayers.
This is fucking infuriating.
By taxpayers.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. Pretty crazy.
You're gonna start a fucking business? No, you're not. You can.
Okay, so clearly Adam has a trigger, everybody.
Sorry about that.
And on that note, that everyone was the tragic murder of the Browning family. Oh, yeah, that's right. But before I hand it over, I did want to mention a quick weird coincidence that took place in 2023. So after the family was murdered in the house, it wasn't torn down or anything, and eventually it went back on the market and sold to whoever. But in 2023, this house was once again making headlines after police were called to help with a quote-unquote person in crisis. And when they showed up, one of the family members escorted the responding officers down to the basement, where they found 24-year-old David Emery, I cannot pronounce this last name for the life of me, Linthicum. It's Linthicum.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. So David was armed, and as the officers approached him, shots just started ringing out, and one struck the officer, allowing David to flee the scene and causing a manhunt to ensue. David managed to elude the police for 3 whole days before finally being captured, but he did not go quietly. So before they were able to actually arrest him, the cops were in an hours-long standoff with David, during which he shot another officer who was severely injured in the incident. And the crazy part about this is that this whole entire incident happened almost 15 years exactly to the date that the Browning family murders took place.
That's insane.
Isn't that crazy? Because the odds of another incident like that
It's like
happening,
slim to none.
that's why it pays to buy a murder home,
Yeah.
because
It sounds so fucked
I know
up.
it does sound fucked up, but it pays because the chances of an incident happening like that again is so slim. So I just thought that was insane that like not a similar thing, but just like another family member kind of like lost their shit in that house.
It's horrible.
Isn't that crazy?
Tear that fucking house down.
It might be time for that.
Yeah.
There might be like, like what is it, like the door to hell or whatever? Like they tried to do in Amityville Horror, like that
Yeah.
bullshit. Like it's like the door to hell down in the basement. Because like I think the story is like Anton LaVey or something like spent a night there with some people and had like a seance and they opened up a portal. That's what it is, a portal. The portal to hell. I kept saying door. But anywho, so yeah, that was just an interesting fact
Crazy.
or incident that occurred that I just thought was really, really odd. But now, everyone, it is time for our shithead of the week. So, Adam, who do you have for us?
I actually got 2, Terry and Brianna.
Oh, is Terry a woman or a man?
No, a 53-year-old dude.
Okay,
And
Terry.
she's a 25-year-old from LaPorte County, Indiana.
Oh, okay. Not Florida's getting a break this week?
Yeah, Florida's getting a break. It's remember like all the oxy heads back in the day that would like scrap metal and shit and steal like fucking
The
copper wire and stuff?
Yeah.
Well, that's like what these pieces of shits did, except they stole the bronze off of 15 fucking veteran headstones.
Wow.
Yeah. Real pieces of fucking shit.
You're a shithead.
Real pieces of shits.
That's like that's scum.
Yeah.
That's scummy.
Yeah. Horrible.
Were they like junkies or?
They look like fucking Indiana meth heads.
Oh, okay.
Just my opinion.
Okay.
Stealing the bronze off of fucking veteran headstones.
Did they call it like mid-act or?
No, there was like a complaint about vandalism, and one thing led to another, and they were like, "Holy shit, what the fuck is going on?" And boom, boom, boom. I think it was the sheriff's department finished the investigation and was like, "These 2 fucking assholes are stealing this shit. This is ridiculous."
How did they even find them?
I don't know. Police investigation stuff.
You just yada-yada'd your whole entire segment.
What? You get the gist? 2 pieces of shit fucking stole stuff off of veteran headstones. What else is this?
That was like, lazy investigating.
Is what it is.
Or research, not investigating. Lazy research. But we're coming off of rough 3 weeks, so I will give it to you. That is fucked up, though.
It's a piece of shit. What do you want?
It's a piece of shit. Okay. So, anywho, thank you for listening, everyone. And if you liked hanging out with us, let us know by following us on Spotify, Instagram, YouTube, and finally, we are on Apple. I got locked out a while ago and couldn't unlock it. I finally got it all taken care of, so you can go there as well. If there is a case you would like us to cover, hit us up at uafrpod@gmail.com and let us know. And we will be back next week with another episode. So until then, please don't be a douche.
Don't vandalize graveyards.
Yes. Okay, so clearly Adam has a trigger, everybody.
Sorry about that.
Uh, and on that note, that everyone was the tragic murder of the Browning family. Oh, yeah, that's right. But before I hand it over, I did want to mention a quick weird coincidence that took place in 2023. So after the family was murdered in the house, it wasn't torn down or anything, and eventually it went back on the market and sold to whoever. But in 2023, this house was once again making headlines after police were called to help with a quote unquote person in crisis. And when they showed up, one of the family members escorted the responding officers down to the basement where they found 24-year-old David Emery. I cannot pronounce this last name for the life of me. Linthencum. It's Linthicum.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. So David was armed, and as the officers approached him, shots just started ringing out, and one struck the officer, allowing David to flee the scene and causing a manhunt to ensue. David managed to elude the police for 3 whole days before finally being captured, but he did not go quietly. So before they were able to actually arrest him, the cops were in an hours-long standoff with David, during which he shot another officer who was severely injured in the incident. And the crazy part about this is that this whole entire incident happened almost 15 years exactly to the date that the Browning family murders took place.
That's insane.
Isn't that crazy? Because the odds of another incident like that
It's like
happening,
slim to none.
that's why it pays to buy a murder home,
Yeah.
because
It sounds so fucked
I know
up.
it does sound fucked up, but it pays because the chances of an incident happening like that again is so slim. So I just thought that was insane that like not a similar thing, but just like another family member kind of like lost their shit in that house.
It's horrible.
Isn't that crazy?
Tear that fucking house down.
It might be time for that.
Yeah.
There might be like, like what is it, like the door to hell or whatever? Like they tried to do in Amityville Horror, like that bullshit. Like it's like the door to hell down in the basement. Because like I think there's stories like Anton LaVey or something like spent a night there with some people and had like a seance and they opened up a portal. That's what it is, a portal. The portal to hell. I kept saying door. But anywho, so yeah, that was just an interesting fact or incident that occurred that I just thought was really, really odd. But now, everyone, it is time for our shithead of the week. So, Adam, who do you have for us?
I actually got 2, Terry and Brianna.
Oh, is Terry a woman or a man?
No, a 53-year-old dude.
Okay,
and
Terry.
She's a 25-year-old from LaPorte County, Indiana.
Oh, okay. Now Florida's getting a break this week?
Yeah, Florida's getting a break. It's remember like all the oxy heads back in the day that would like scrap metal and shit and steal like fucking
the copper
wire and stuff?
Yeah.
Well, that's like what these pieces of shits did, except they stole the bronze off of 15 fucking veteran headstones.
Wow.
Yeah. Real pieces of fucking shit.
You're a shithead.
Real pieces of shits.
That's scum.
Yeah.
That's scummy.
Yeah. Horrible.
Were they like junkies or?
They look like fucking Indiana meth heads.
Oh, okay.
Just my opinion.
Okay.
Stealing the bronze off of fucking veteran headstones.
Did they call it like mid-act or?
No, there was like a complaint about vandalism, and one thing led to another, and they were like, "Holy shit, what the fuck is going on?" And boom, boom, boom. I think it was the sheriff's department finished the investigation. Was like, these 2 fucking assholes are stealing this shit. This is ridiculous.
How did they even find them?
I don't know. Police investigations.
You just yada-yada'd your whole entire segment.
What? You get the gist? 2 pieces of shit fucking stole stuff off of veteran headstones. What else is there?
That was lazy investigating.
Is what it is.
Or research, not investigating. Lazy research. But we're coming off of rough 3 weeks, so I will give it to you. That is fucked up, though.
It's a piece of shit. What do you want?
It's a piece of shit. Okay. So, anywho, thank you for listening, everyone. And if you liked hanging out with us, let us know by following us on Spotify, Instagram, YouTube, and finally, we are on Apple. I got locked out a while ago and couldn't unlock it. I finally got it all taken care of, so you can go there as well. If there is a case you would like us to cover, hit us up at uafrpod@gmail.com and let us know. And we will be back next week with another episode. So until then, please don't be a douche.
Don't vandalize graveyards.
Yes.